This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. I'm a music creator. I grew up playing music my whole life. I even went to college and majored in music. And right now, I'm a music lawyer, meaning I defend the rights of music creators to make money from their art. Why do I do that? Well, that's a long story, which I'm gonna break it down for you. Okay, so pay attention. Now, it gets a little technical in the beginning, but I promise it gets real good. Okay, so bear with me. Music creators consist of 4 groups of people: recording artists, producers, musicians, and songwriters. And out of these 4 groups of people, songwriters are the most vulnerable, almost on the verge of extinction. Let me explain why. Music creators, besides performing live, they make money with 3 bundles of rights: copyrights, trademarks, and the rights of publicity. Now, the copyright in the recording is usually owned by the record company, and although they keep the most money, I know, shocker, they do pay a royalty to the recording artist who plays on the track and the producer who produces the track. The copyright in the song, well, that's different from the copyright in the recording, and the copyright in the song is written by the songwriters and published by the music publishers. And then you have the trademarks. And trademarks are protection for the logo or your name or a fancy symbol, and the money made from that is paid to the owner of the trademarks. Finally, you have the rights of publicity. The rights of publicity is the protection of the commercial use of your name or image. Okay, and the money paid for that is paid to the person whose image or picture is being used. Now, out of all these income streams, the smallest and the lowest is the income paid to the songwriters. And I'll explain why. They don't perform live, and they're not performing on the recording, and they don't produce the recording, so they make no money there. They don't have a fancy band name, logo, or symbol that they could slap on some t-shirts and merchandise and sell that, so they make no money there. They're not recognizable enough or famous enough that someone would want to pay them money to use their picture or image to endorse a product or service, so they make no money there. So the only monies they do make are the monies that's paid to them for writing the song. And because we've moved to a streaming model to consume music, as opposed to selling CDs or downloads, that's not that much. Why? Because the laws in the United States have not caught up to all the new technologies we have, which allow us to consume music anywhere, any place, anytime from our computers and our smartphones. Did you know that the United States makes up 33% of the global music industry worldwide, and we treat our music creators the worst? We have outdated laws. 75% of songwriters' income in America is regulated by the government through antiquated copyright provisions, some of which are over 100 years old, and government decrees that were put in place in 1941. These government decrees that are over 70 years old have not even been updated since before the iPod has been developed. So while technology is flourishing, creativity is being stifled because the laws have not caught up to the technologies. Let me give you an example. Avicii, the song Wake Me Up, performed by Avicii, with over 168 million streams on Pandora, the 3 songwriters were only paid $12,000. Christina Aguilera's song The Beautiful, which was written by Linda Perry, received $300 for over 30 million streams. Mozella, one of 6 songwriters on the Miley Cyrus song Wrecking Ball, was paid $3,000 despite the song was streamed over 260 million times. So you see, the songwriters are the worker bees of the music industry, and it all starts with a song. Songs are the soundtrack to our lives. Okay, so where are we with this? Well, to change the laws, we have to lobby the politicians. Okay, so for over 3 years now, music creators, we've been in Washington trying to lobby members of Congress, because it's federal law, and the Department of Justice to get them to change the laws so they're more updated with the technologies and everybody could get paid freely. Well, what's happened so far? Nothing. Just a lot of hearings and witness testimony and blah, 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 and investigations and this, that, and the other, and common papers, and nothing's happening. Meanwhile, songwriters can't get paid. It's a drama. So I decided to take matters in my own hands a little bit. So on September 8th, despite the objections of most people close to me in my life, I helped the songwriters file a lawsuit against the Department of Justice. Because it was the right thing to do. And you know what? Why am I so bold? You're standing up here going, why are you so bold? Why is this girl so bold? Well, let me tell you something. I'm on borrowed time. On April 19th, 1998, I got sober from drugs and alcohol. For an alcoholic and drug addict like me, I should be dead. There's only 3 roads for people like me: death, institution, or recovery. And by God's grace, I had a spiritual experience, and I chose recovery. So I'm on borrowed time. I got a second chance at life. 18.5 years of borrowed time. Do you know, right before I got sober, thank you, thank you, thank you. Right before I got sober, I was unemployable. I couldn't find a job. Although I went to law school and passed the bar the first time, Lord knows how, on cocaine, but I did. No one would hire me as an attorney. Good thing. Anyway, so I interned for a music lawyer in LA. Interned, meaning I filed his papers, picked up lunch, got his dry cleaning, and blew up his kids' basketball. He didn't pay me. In fact, it cost me $11 a day just to park in his office building to go to work. This was in 1997. One of the firm's clients was the Tupac Shakur estate. Tupac had just died the year before, this big rapper. And you know, his mom was a Afeni Shakur. Afeni Shakur was a big name in my household growing up. See, I'm from a little small town in upstate New York where the judge is the plumber. My mom had me when she was 21 years old. It was 1966, and there was a lot of unrest in the U.S. My mama was a painter, and my daddy was a prison guard. My mom taught me about the unjust discrimination of black people. I learned all about the abolitionist movement. Women like Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman came to life in my bedroom. Music from that time filled my home. Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, Rock My Soul in the Bosom of Abraham, This Little Light of Mine, only later to be replaced by Sweet Honey in the Rock and Odetta. Only more stories, but only now about modern-day female activists like Fannie Lou Hamer, Ella Baker, Rosa Parks, Afeni Shakur, and Angela Yvonne Davis, who said, "No longer will I accept the things I cannot change. I will change the things I cannot accept." I was 10 years old. My mother also told me that Afeni Shakur was living in New York City, and she was helping kids that didn't have anything to eat or no school to go to. She organized an entire movement where she helped kids feed, educate themselves from impoverished urban neighborhoods. But she did all this as a member of the Black Panther Party, so she was constantly being harassed by the United States government. See, I had food to eat, and I had school to go to, and my mama told me I had to help people that always had that didn't have what I had. So many years later, when I met Afeni Shakur, I was barely 4 months sober. Barely. And you know, she was upset. Afeni Shakur was upset because Death Row Records was claiming that they owned all the unreleased recordings of Tupac when he died. She said, "This can't be so. This can't be so." I told my boss. He said, "Let it go. Let it go. She'll get paid. She's poor. Let it go." But see, it's never about the money. It's about the truth, and it's about the justice. See, Afeni was an addict like me. When I met Afeni Shakur, she was 13 years off crack cocaine. We were both on borrowed time, me and Afeni. So I told Afeni, I'm going to look at that contract between Tupac and Death Row. And I did. Yeah, handwritten. And there wasn't the most important parts in that contract. The part that said the record company owned the recordings. The part that said that they could use Tupac's image and picture to sell the music. The part that said they could use his trademark wasn't in there. Wasn't in there. I told my boss, he said, let it go, let it go. We'll do a good deal for her. She'll get paid. It's not about the money. It's about what's right. It's about the truth. It's about the justice. Look here, I grew up feeling like I was never good enough. I was overweight and gay was not good in the 70s. I wanted to die, and I even tried. Music was there for me. Music's always been there for me. Drugs and alcohol became a diversion. When I used drugs and alcohol, it made me feel better about myself. I could fit in. But then when I got clean and sober, I had to feel okay. I had to fight just to feel all right about myself. But it was hard because there was so much injustice in the world, just like my mother told me. So they said, you got to help people. You got to help people. If you help people, it's going to make you feel better. So I started teaching guitar lessons to kids that didn't have any money. I served food at the food bank. I helped the homeless man in the park who rolled over on his guitar and crushed it during a seizure. I bought him a new guitar. I drove him to Guitar Center. See, I know what it's like not to have music in my life. I became a music lawyer so I could help the music creators, because when I help them, it helps me more. Just because we have a law doesn't mean it's a good law. Doesn't mean it's a just law. If I wanted to follow the law, I'd be a cop. I'm a lawyer. I'd change up the law if I don't like the law. Who's going to help the songwriters if the law makes it impossible for them to earn a living? No has always been the biggest motivator in my life. Being told, no, you can't do something, for me, puts a fire under my ass. You can't major in music in college. You'll never get a job when you graduate. You can't go to law school. You're only a musician. You can't open up your own law practice. You're a woman. You're in LA. You can't go up against Death Row Records. They're dangerous. They have guns. People die. You can't sue the Department of Justice. They're the United States government. But so what? Life is for living because we're all on borrowed time. Music has been the only thing that's been constant and consistent in my life. It has never let me down. Not when I was 13 and tried to hang myself, when I was on drugs, when I went to law school, when I was off drugs, when I helped Afeni Shakur get the rights to her son's legacy, when I went up against the Department of Justice. Life is for living because we're all on borrowed time. Marianne Williamson said, our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. And it is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us most. So be bold. Take risks. Stand for what you believe in, no matter how hard or how difficult the fight, and let your light shine.